Brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Florida sealed the victory against LSU with a 25-yard pick six by Brad Stewart as they took down LSU 27-19. Dialing up the pressure was Todd Grantham, and it paid off multiple times in this game, but specifically right there. College Football Live continues, and now it's time to discuss the Capital One fan vote. So, Greg, which one of these one-loss teams has the best chance to make the playoff?
I got to go with Washington because they are unequivocally better than any of the other teams in their conference. I know Oregon's had a nice season. Colorado's played well to this point, but Washington's significantly better than the rest of the Pac-12. If they win the Pac-12 at 12-1, they got a real shot at getting in.
That's interesting you went Washington. They just had a close game this past weekend at UCLA, which hadn't been very good. But if you like Washington, go for it. I'm going with the Texas Longhorns. Just pulled off a huge upset. They got a shot at getting there. They got to knock off West Virginia.
All right, go to twitter.com/SportsCenter to vote on this and either agree or disagree with the guys. Now it's time for word association. I'm going to say some things, and then you guys tell me the first thing that comes to mind. We'll start with you, Greg. Florida's 5-1 start.
Mullen. That's all I got. The last name of their head coach. He's been off the charts. I mean, the reason why they've won the last two games is pure coaching acumen. Him and Todd Grantham, his defensive coordinator, they've taken what few pieces they have and really put them into a very exciting group to watch. Offensively, they don't make mistakes, and defensively, my goodness, can they come off the edge with an unbelievable pressure package like Jabari Zuniga, and Ja'Kai Polite. They've been off the charts. So I look at Florida, and I describe it with one word, just Mullen.
Hey, Greg, if you can't roll it out, just avoid trying it.
I give you credit for trying.
You got to get it.
Really? Don't start kicking it around. Laura enjoys it way too much when you're slipping on a word.
You got to do it.
I'm going with finally. Finally, they have some offense.
Yeah.
For the past few years, all we kept saying is, man, this Florida team could be pretty good if they could score a couple points, because defensively, they've been very talented. Finally, Dan Mullen, like you said, has showed up, and Florida can actually score some points. I know the defense is sitting there looking at them like, oh, you guys are scoring? You guys are going to score? This is great. Florida is going to be a team that can make some noise if they can continue putting points on the board, because they're extremely good on defense.
Okay, sticking with the state of Florida, and Joey, since you're so perfect with your words, we'll start with you on this one. How about Miami's comeback against Florida State?
Surprising. Not surprising that they came back, surprising that they had to come back.
Yeah.
Florida State hasn't been very good on the offensive end. So to see them putting up points on Miami, and when we were looking at this game beforehand, we thought Miami's going to run right through that offensive line of Florida State and not give Francois a chance to throw the ball. But he had time. He threw the ball. They put points on the board. So I'm very surprised that they even had to come back to beat Florida State.
Yeah, ugly. Nothing about this game was pretty. Yeah, they found a way to win. They should feel great about that. Congrats, you beat your rival. But I'm with Joey, man. To be down 20 points, playing that poorly against a team that has zero identity whatsoever is very disappointing. So we started to think Miami, maybe they're a dark horse in the ACC. Saturday's performance proved to me that they still have a lot to figure out.
Okay, as we continue word association, Paul Feinbaum called this Auburn-Mississippi State game the Concern Bowl. So, Greg, we start with you. What comes to mind with Auburn losing to Mississippi State?
Inept. That's the word I'd use. Their offense right now is absolutely inept. They have absolutely no balance. They can't effectively control the line of scrimmage. Boobie Whitlow is a solid back, but far from a star. And Jarrett Stidham right now, playing the way he is not even in the top half of SEC quarterbacks with his efficiency. So absolutely inept is how I would describe not just Auburn's offense, but Mississippi State's a little bit as well.
I'm going Fitzgerald. And you're right. The past couple weeks, inept have been great for Mississippi State. They were terrible. Fitzgerald ran for 20 yards and 32 yards. They're different when he puts together an offensive game where he's a playmaker. Went for 197 yards on the ground in this game. And so when you look at this Mississippi State team, for years, they can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. And the difference has been Nick Fitzgerald, when he has these kind of games, these are the ones that they find a way to win.
Okay, let's talk about Kentucky, because last week this time we were all buying into the hype. But, Joey, Kentucky loses to Texas A&M. Your thoughts?
inevitable. It was inevitable that someone was going to slow down their run game. They rushed for 70 yards in this game. They were in a position that they had to find points elsewhere, maybe in the pass game, and they couldn't do it. And if you're A&M, you're sitting there thinking, look, we've lost games this season, but we lost to Clemson and we lost to Alabama. I mean, those are two games that a lot of people in the country would have lost. Texas A&M is a good football team, but it was going to come down to eventually someone was going to make Kentucky pass the football, and they couldn't do it.
Disappointing. Who wasn't rooting for Kentucky, right? I mean, it was like the little engine that could to a certain extent. They kept surprising you each and every week, and every week they would back up what was kind of an overshadowed opponent, and they played well. And it was disappointing to see that run end. Now, A&M deserves it. A&M's a really good football team, but who wasn't rooting for Kentucky? Because if you weren't, you genuinely don't have a heart. Looking at you, Joey.
Oh, Joey doesn't have a heart, but Joey would have enjoyed the monsoon that happened in the Missouri-South Carolina game. I mean, this thing was nuts, you guys. What are your thoughts, Greg? We start with you on just the torrential downpour and what it must have been like to play in that.
Ridiculous. I mean, it was so bad, guys, that they did not have operational clocks in the stadium. They left the electricity. They shut down the scoreboards, and before each play, the referee had to say how much time was remaining on the clock. It was absolutely ridiculous to have to watch a game like that with minimal time left to play.
I'm going with bedraggled. And yes, I had to dig deep for that one. Bedraggled.
Wow.
Exactly. The field looked bedraggled. The players looked bedraggled. Hey, I went to The Ohio State University. Hey, we are an educational institution. We get in our books. Bedraggled is a word that describes everything we saw during this game. And give the kickers credit. They were hitting kicks in this mess.
Yeah, for a second I thought you said bedazzled, Joey, and I was really confused about that. But bedraggled is really a good one.
It auto-corrected to bedazzled. That's what it did. That was ridiculous.